Hi. This is a video I've been wanting to do for a long time, like years actually. I've had it in the back of my head, but over time I feel like the discussion over the Dragon Ball Z dub kind of, got forgotten, and so I didn't really feel as motivated. But I've noticed a couple videos, recent videos from people who were critiquing the Dragon Ball Z's old Funimation dub. Now I wanted to share my thoughts on that, as someone who did not grow up with that dub. My first exposure to the show, the first time I really consistently watched it was Dragon Ball Z Kai, which was obviously much different in terms of like script, dialogue, and all that, and voice acting and all that. So I wanted to get my thoughts on, is the Dragon Ball Z dub, specifically the old Funimation dub, like from the 90s and 2000s, does it suck? Is it good? Does it hold up today? And I'm going to separate uh, my critiques into like categories, like voice acting, accurate script accuracy, faithfulness to the original material, and the music. So getting right into it. Um, so when Dragon Ball Z first aired, like when the English dub first premiered, and they had, um, of course, they had a big group of people: Sean Schemmel, Chris Sabat, who voiced nearly 90% of the cast, uh, impressively enough, and they, of course, were not as experienced as they were today. So the quality wasn't as good as what you see in Kai in terms of voice acting. But personally, I think that it wasn't as bad. I think that Goku's voice in the old dub started off like kind of clunky in the Saiyan Saga and stuff. I mean, the remastered was much better, obviously. Um, I think Sean Schemmel definitely improved, and I think that the Japanese version was definitely a lot better. I think that Masuko Nozawa was easily better than Sean Schemmel back in the early 2000s, in the 90s, in my opinion. And I think that a lot of a voice cast. I think Ryo Horikawa as Vegeta better than early Chris Sabat, in my opinion. I thought early Chris Sabat was kind of I found his voice kind of like a little grating, to be honest with you. I think that's because he was trying too hard to channel Brian Drummond as Vegeta, and so that kind of hurt him in a little bit. But once he found his own thing, which I think maybe toward the later Cell/Buu saga is when he improved. Um, Piccolo, Chris Abbott as Piccolo, actually pretty damn good, honestly. I like his low Batman voice. I think that suits him very well. I think that was definitely a big hit. Uh, Meredith McCoy as 18 is another one that gets brought up a lot. Great, and I actually didn't like Lincoln Beard's 18 too much in the Kai dub, so that's one thing. Um, the one thing voice acting wise, though, the one voice I really did not like in the old dub that I think definitely without question was better in the Japanese, in my opinion, and much better in Kai, was Linda Young as Frieza. I When I watched through that dub, I did not like Linda Young's Frieza voice in general. It's grown on me kind of as the years went by. I've gotten used to it. I've gotten to like it more, but I did not like it at all back then. I think that Ryusei Nikeo, the Japanese voice, was definitely a lot better. Um, I think the voice acting left overall, I would say the voice acting left a lot to be desired, but it definitely had its moments. It wasn't as horrible as people make it out to be sometimes. I feel like some people overemphasize how inexperienced the voice actors were and how bad the voice acting was, but it definitely had its moments. Especially in the Buu saga, especially is when things really got good. Um, I think Damian Clark, probably the best voice in the entire English cast. Phenomenal job. I mean, his voice, even in the early dubs, like his voice when he goes from imperfect cell to semi-perfect cell to perfect cell, like the range, the inflection was just phenomenal. Great in my opinion. Great job with him. Uh, so so yeah, it's a mixed bag voice acting wise. I would say in general the Japanese version was definitely better, and of course in Dragon Ball Z Kai when the voice actors had more experience and more time to flesh out their characters. Um, and another thing that people bring up a lot when they critique the Dragon Ball Z Funimation dub is that they say it's not accurate to the original source material, the manga, which is true. I mean, it's not they. I don't think Funimation really had the resources to make it be as accurate as they wanted it to be. Um, but watching through the dubs and the subs, I feel like there's only a couple major inaccuracies that really piss people off, and it's usually about Goku when people talk about the dub being inaccurate, and it's Goku's "I am" speech to Frieza right after he goes Super Saiyan. And Goku says in the old dub, of course, he says, "I am the hope of the universe, the answer to all living things who cry out for justice." And of course, that's not what he says in the manga. That's not what he says in the Japanese anime. Kai corrects that. But yeah, that's definitely the most glaring inaccuracy by far in the old dub. And it gave people this idea that Goku was just a carbon copy of Superman, which isn't true at all. Although he does have heroic qualities, absolutely. And other people point out, yes, Goku does have a heroic side to him, absolutely. He does want to help people when he sees injustice being done. But it's not the focal point of his character. He's not Superman in the sense that he's not the hope of the universe. The answer to all living things who cry out for justice is definitely an exaggeration, and people are right to criticize the dub in that particular area. And another thing about Goku's character is people point out when he spares Piccolo's life and when he spares Vegeta's life in the Saiyan Saga. I mean, uh, the old dub makes it look like he's doing it purely out of mercy and the hope that Vegeta and Piccolo will reform. Whereas in the Japanese, it's clear, and in the manga, it's clear that he's just doing it. He's doing it out of selfish reasons. Mercy might have something to do with it, and I'm not ruling that out, but it's definitely his selfishness is a lot more pronounced in the older, yeah, not the older dub, the Japanese version, and this is something the old dub definitely gets wrong. So the old dub, the biggest inaccuracy with the old dub is definitely they it hypes up Goku's heroic traits, which again he's heroic, no doubt about it. Goku's a hero, no doubt about it, but he's not a hero in a traditional Superman sense. So I guess that's the one thing I just tell people going in, like, but I mean it's not quite as riddled with inaccuracies as people claim. It's that's Goku's character is the only major one, I think. And now the big thing that everyone talks about, that everyone says the old dub got better than the Japanese version, is the music. Falconer Productions' music. And yes, I'd be lying if I said I didn't really, really love the hell out of it. And there are a lot of great tracks. Of course, there's Goku Super Saiyan theme, Vegeta Super Saiyan theme, a piano, like, oh my god, so amazing. Vegeta's Hellbells theme, Piccolo Super Namekian theme, Piccolo Angry, Paikon's theme, Super Saiyan 3, which probably the best score in the entire, might be the best Dragon Ball score ever. I mean, I wouldn't, at least in the top five, definitely for me. But but yeah, no, and definitely having watched the Funimation dub and watching it with the Kikuchi score as well, and watching the Japanese version, it definitely, again, all due respect to Shunsuke Kikuchi, God rest his soul, it's definitely a lot more underwhelming when you watch it with the Japanese score than when you watch it with the Falconer score. And again, this is coming from someone who did not grow up with Falconer, did not grow up with with the Funimation dub of Dragon Ball Z. I didn't grow up with that, so it's not nostalgia speaking. I genuinely think that the Falconer score is generally a lot better and fits a lot better than the Kikuchi score. That being said, there is a big problem with Funimation's placing of that score. Like, they really did not know when to stop playing it. Like, they wanted music played in every single scene, and it was constantly playing, like, just wouldn't stop playing, and that did kind of that did ruin it for me sometimes. And as a result, like, a lot of the stuff you hear in the background, a lot of it isn't even real music, like, not made for transformations or anything. Like, it's just like droning, like like, it's not really compelling. So yeah, that's definitely a critique I have when it comes to the English dub score. But overall, I'd say when it didn't have that problem, the music probably carried the whole dub. If I'm being honest with you, not that the dub was complete shit. I mean, I've watched the remastered version and with and without the Falconer score, and it's not like it's complete shit without it. But but no, it definitely carried the dub in general for a lot of people. And so to wrap it up, yeah, for Dragon Ball Z, old Funimation dub, good or bad? Um, I'd say it's above average, at least above average for me. Going into it, having just been exposed to the Kai dub and, not really expecting, I didn't notice a huge difference in quality from Well, okay, I did notice it early on, but I definitely noticed that there was improvements going on with Sean Schemmel's voice as the dub progressed, and I feel like the dub gets simultaneously overrated and overhated. Like, I've heard people say, "Oh, the Dragon Ball Z dub, it's the only anime where the dub is better than the sub," and I'm like, I don't think so. I think Yu Hakusho would have a claim to that if nothing else, but I wouldn't say it's the only dub where the dub is better than the sub. I mean, definitely not. And it's definitely not. And I've heard some people like really harshly criticize the Japanese version, like, "Oh, Masuko Nozawa is terrible. She's sounds like an old woman, even though she is an old woman." So of course, but no, I mean, and on the other side, I hear people over hate the dub, like, "Oh, the dub is 100, like 99% is completely inaccurate. The voices are complete shit, and the music is complete shit, and blah blah blah." And I feel like on that side, people are way too desperate to be contrarian. Like they hate on it to sound cool or edgy. Not all the time, but just from my experience, it sounds like it. But overall, I'd say it's an above average dub. It's not the best, definitely not the worst. Had its moments, and yeah, those are my thoughts. Do you agree, disagree? Post in the comments below. Peace, and have a nice day.